How much do you tell your wife about your job? If you're a private investigator, there's a lot of confidentiality built into it because of your clients and their problems. And it's a small world. Secrets can get out and people can be hurt, lives can be ruined. So, where do you draw the line? I mean, you should be able to trust your wife with anything, right? Hi, this is Larry Kaye with shadowanyone.com. I've got training material over there. If you're a private investigator, you know what I'm talking about here as far as confidentiality. Even if you're working, one of my brothers and sisters in security, you probably have places with duress codes or hidden panic buttons, those types of things. Not that your wife cares or knows. And when I say wife, I mean spouse, obviously. There are phenomenally great women working in this industry, but they've got somebody to go home to as well. So how much do you share? My view on this has changed quite a bit over the years. The reason is because when I would do something work related, and this would be even working security, but as a private investigator, loss prevention, I would come home and want to share this. I was very pleased with it, proud of it. I wanted her to know, and I wanted to genuinely share it, but it was the type of thing that also kind of made me feel pretty good to be the kind of guy that could do this or that, whatever the problem might be, knowing that I had taken care of it. Now, the problem is that can really kind of give you an ego. It can kind of blow up your head. If you're doing something that's pretty cool, and I mean the type of stuff that people watch in movies, and you're doing it in real life, maybe not regularly, but certainly every now and then, right? If you're doing that type of thing and then coming home and your wife is admiring that you did that type of thing, that can give you a pretty swollen head. That can lead to a lot of pride, which for me, for a long time, was a real problem. And I don't mean pride like you think of it like, oh, I'm better than everybody else. Not pride like I should have the front seat at the table. It was much more insidious than that. And the problem is, it would come out in me in a burst of temper where, who does that guy think he is? He doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to follow the rules. So for me personally, getting a handle on that meant getting a handle on this pride, making sure that I wasn't feeling like I'm better than anybody else, because I am certainly not. Now, a good antidote to any sin, and pride is one of the deadly sins, it's the root deadly sin, really, the others come from. But the key to handling any deadly sin, one of the elements is to practice the contrary virtue. So if you're having trouble with lust, you practice chastity. If you're having problems with greed, you practice generosity. Now, the contrary virtue to pride is humility. Be humble. Be humble. So what would happen is these kind of cool things would happen at work, and I would want to come home and maybe not even necessarily boast, but it felt good to say, hey, I'm the guy that handled this when nobody else could. So for a long time, in order to practice humility, I did not share these things with my wife. I would kind of keep them to myself. I wouldn't talk about them with other people, practicing being humble about it. However, my view on this has changed a little bit, and it's changed because of something I read in one of John C. Maxwell's books. Matter of fact, hang on a second. So, John C. Maxwell, excellent book. Today Matters. Of all his books, this is probably my favorite one, the one that I recommend the most. But John C. Maxwell, he had similar things happen where he would have victories in his line of work. He would share them with the people at work, or they would talk about it, or he would be having lunch with somebody and they would discuss this victory he had. And he realized by the time he got home, the excitement was gone, and he just didn't have that enthusiasm to share with his wife. He wasn't sharing with her enough. And so he decided that he would keep some things to himself in order to bring them home and share them initially with his wife, so there would be that enthusiasm and that they could enjoy it together. So this is the tack that I take now. Not every little thing, because I don't want to get that ego, and I'm very careful when I tell the story at home. How was your day? And I tell what happened. That I don't make myself out to be any better than I am. That if I did a misstep, if I miscalled something, if there was a mistake, I make sure to include that in. but I share the victories with my wife, and I would encourage you to do the same. Now, confidential information, things like that. First of all, she doesn't know, doesn't care. On the maybe two times in decades that she's asked for some details that I couldn't share, I would tell her, do you really want to know? I would ask her. And if she said yes, I said, do me a favor, sleep on it. If you still really need to know in the morning, I will share those details with you. And then it never has happened. So she's very good at understanding that. And she understands that if I'm going to keep their secrets, then I'm going to keep her secrets as well. And you need to be a person of integrity, a person who can keep confidences and keep secrets as appropriate. So whether you're working as a private investigator, loss prevention, my brothers and sisters in security, you're going to have some cool things happen in the course of your day, week, month, whatever it is. But keep that relationship strong. It's especially a husband and wife. That's your primary relationship. You really have to keep that strong. In the meantime, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.